Hello, welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to talk about distributives, each and every. Let's get started. Distributive determiners, or simply distributives, refer to a group of people or things and to individual members of the group. Note that they show different ways of looking at the individual within a group, and they express how something is distributed, shared, or divided. Have a look at the example over here. Each person is unique. Every person is unique. Now, the distributive each and every are both related to describing the members of a group. These distributives can only be used with countable nouns by being placed before the nouns. Now, in many cases, they are interchangeable, but there is a subtle difference between them. Let's have a look at that subtle difference between each and every. Now, each is used to describe and highlight an individual member of a group or multiple individuals. Note that by using each, you recognize the item is a part of a group, but that it also needs to be pointed out as a singular item too. Have a look at the example over here. Each book on the shelf had a unique cover. The distributive each refers to the countable noun book, which is part of other books on the shelf. Note that each can be used with plural nouns and pronouns, but it must be followed by of, as in the example over here. Each of the pupils received a Christmas card. Pupils is a plural noun. Also, each can be used after the subject or at the end of the sentence. Let's have a look at the following examples. My siblings each have their own room. After the subject. My mother gave my sister and I $20 each. This means that she gave $20 to each of us. Now let's have a look at the distributive every. By contrast, every is a way of referring to the group as a collection of individual members. Note that every cannot be used with plural nouns. Let's have a look at the example over here. Every boys in my class wanted that computer game. Now this sentence would be incorrect because boys is plural and we cannot use every with plural nouns. The correct form would be every boy in my class wanted that computer game. Also, remember that every can express different points in a series, especially with time expressions. For example, in the sentence we have, every morning Philip goes for a run. Now in the sentence, the distributive every expresses a time expression, which is morning. And in the sentence, and every time Anne would forgive him, the distributive every expresses the word time, which tells us about what Anne does every time in a series. Now let's review and practice a bit. Remember that we use each to describe and highlight an individual member of a group. By using each, you recognize the item is part of a group, but that it also needs to be pointed out as a singular item too. Have a look at the sentence below and fill in the gap using the appropriate distributive. Each contestant had something special about them. Now remember that each can be used with plural nouns and pronouns, but it must be followed by of. Now have a look at the sentence below and fill in the gaps using the appropriate distributives. Each of us wanted to volunteer for the project, and each of the members filled in the application form. Also, note that each can be used after the subject or at the end of a sentence. Again, have a look at the sentences below and fill in the gaps using the appropriate distributives. My parents each have their own car. I bought 3 pairs of shoes, $30 each, meaning that each pair of shoes cost $30. Remember that the distributive every, by contrast, is a way of referring to the group as a collection of individual members. Note that every cannot be used with plural nouns. Have a look at the sentence below and provide the correct version of the sentence. Every people want to live a happy life. Every person wants to live a happy life. Also, remember that every can express different points in a series, especially with time expression. So have a look at the sentence below and fill in the gap using the appropriate distributive. Every time I say something, my brother gets annoyed. Here is a short story using distributives, each and every. Listen as I read so you can see how they are used in real-life conversation. After I'm done, make sure you understand all the grammar and read aloud yourself so that you can work on your own fluency and pronunciation. Have you heard of Crystal's upcoming wedding? They are throwing a huge party with 300 guests invited. That's a lot of people. Yeah, and each of the guests received a handwritten invitation. Could you believe that? Maybe they wanted everyone to feel welcomed. I could have never done something like that. That's just insane and sounds like a total waste of time. Well, to each his own, I suppose. Now, time for you to practice on your own. Read the following sentences and underline the correct distributive. A. My 2 sisters, each or every, have their own business. B. I live with a roommate, so we are paying $500 every or each. C. Every or each of the board directors sign the papers. D. Stop being so judgmental. As they say, to every or each his own. E. Every or each Day, I read 20 pages of a book. Now read the following sentences and rewrite them so that they have similar meaning and contain the distributive in brackets. A. Whenever I tell you to calm down, you snap at me. B. Susan, Megan, Kelly, and I got free tickets to the cinema. C. The police searched all the buildings in the neighborhood. D. Different people like different things. E. I was looking for you everywhere, and all of our friends were trying to reach you too. Now let's check your answers. My two sisters each have their own business. I live with a roommate, so we are paying $500 each. Each of the board directors signed the papers. Stop being so judgmental. As they say, to each his own. Each or every day I read 20 pages of a book. Note that both variants are possible, though every is used more often. Every time I tell you to calm down, you snap at me. Each of us got free tickets to the cinema. The police searched every building in the neighborhood. To each his own. Each of our friends was trying to reach you too. Thank you for watching this tutorial.